Tzu Chi volunteers cares for the family and friends of the residential fire that took away 3 innocent lives. CDC announces 2 new cases of dengue fever that were diagnosed using the fast screening reagents. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lori Chen. Thank you for joining us. A 5-story apartment building in Danshui suddenly caught on fire at 3:30 a.m. on August 8th. 3 members of a family of 4 sadly passed away in the incident. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly arrived at the scene to comfort the family and friends of the deceased.
This violent fire emerges from the 3rd floor of this 5-story apartment building at 3:30 in the morning on August 8th. This fire occurred on Damsui's Zhongshan Road, leading many residents to flee for safety.
I think I heard a sound of something, and then there was a person shouting to leave quickly because of a fire.
A total of 112 firefighters were dispatched, and the fire was extinguished within 40 minutes. However, because the fire broke out suddenly, a family of 4 people had no time to escape, with 3 lost to the blaze.
It is all made of wood, and so it started at the beginning and continued throughout this 19 square meter apartment. 9 residents of the 4th and 5th floors were evacuated.
There are 3 people who are presumed dead and a grandmother who has been sent to Mackay Memorial Hospital. 3 neighbors have been affected by smoke inhalation and sent to Taipei's Veterans General Hospital.
The fire is thought to have begun in the living room. Because the interior walls are all made from wood, the fire spread rapidly, and the amount of debris accumulated in the house was quite large, increasing the difficulty of escape. Firefighters found a grandmother with 2nd-degree burns on 90% of her body on the balcony, and a lifeless grandfather, along with a 40-year-old father and a 7-year-old son. When the Tzu Chi volunteers received the news, they rushed to send care.
We first gave them some condolence money. We heard that next-door neighbors also suffer minor bruises, so we also want to comfort these families. We'll soon go to Veterans General Hospital to care for those 3 neighbors and show our concern.
The grief of the family members was clearly seen on their face as many had come together to share a meal on Chinese Father's Day. No one expected this day to end in tragedy, as firefighters are continuing to seek the cause for this deadly blaze.
The 2nd-generation owner of DOMA Pharma, Ling Changzhou, passed away in his sleep in mid-July at the age of 88. Recently, a memorial service was held at the Zhanghua Jingsi Hall. His family recalled how he was a disciplined and giving man.
At the solemn memorial service, Lin Benyuan expressed his gratitude toward his father.
You were disciplined but lenient toward others. You treated people around you with passion.
Ling Changzhou's daughter-in-law, Tzu Chi volunteer Li Ali, is also grateful to her father-in-law for always supporting her.
Dharma Master Zheng Yan has always said that small acts of kindness include being filial. The grand acts of kindness must benefit the public. I'm grateful that my late father-in-law and mother-in-law have always supported me.
Mr. Lin Changzhou and his wife had been in charge of DOMA Pharma for more than 50 years. They treated employees like their own family members.
He told us to be hardworking and frugal. He said that we must be diligent and frugal.
The elderly couple has always been benevolent and always willing to give to charities.
He was always willing to carry out charitable acts to help those in need. I've learned from my grandfather that we need to have good character before learning to do good deeds.
Lin Changzhou passed away in his sleep in mid-July. However, his kindness and benevolent acts will be remembered by all those who knew him.
To mark the 7th lunar month, Tzu Chi Liaison Office in Songsan presented a music adaptation of the Sutra of Profound Gratitude toward Parents. Among the more than 200 onstage volunteers, there were 5 former inmates. One of them remarked how he regrets his past wrongdoings and hopes the audience will carry out good deeds.
最难以启齿的是觉得喊妈妈这2个字啊，因为已经10-20年没喊过了，老实讲都忘记该怎么喊了。
Participating in the musical adaptation of Sutra Profound Gratitude toward Parents, former inmate Peng Wensong seems to act out his real life.
好像是要把自己的故事再
It seems to be telling my own story. In the beginning, I did not feel like doing this because I thought I've been hurt once. Why share the pain for the second time? I also feel bad about it.
Being encouraged by his employer, who's a Tzu Chi volunteer, Peng is undergoing Tzu Chi volunteer training. He has also participated in the Sutra adaptation.
Tzu Chi brothers and sisters told me to see the actress as my own mother. They know my mother has passed away. I tried really hard to overcome the difficulties. In the past, I had wayward actions. When my mother passed away, I was not there for her. This is my biggest regret. Therefore, I hope through participating in the Sutra adaptation, I can tell the public, do not have wayward behaviors. Simply carry out good deeds.
In the Sutra adaptation presented in Taipei Songshan, there are 234 on-stage volunteers. They include former inmates as well as high school teachers and students.
I acted in a segment about the rebellious child. Through this performance, I've realized how children can hurt their parents. Therefore, I will think for my parents.
Life is like a drama. The onstage volunteers and the audience have realized the importance of practicing filial piety.
In our next report, we meet two sisters who have been staying with their grandmother since their mother passed away 3 years ago. When they began first living together, there were many conflicts. Over time, the two sisters learned to be considerate and appreciative of their grandmother.
At the dinner table, two sisters get the food for their grandmother. The grandmother recalls that when she brought back the two granddaughters after her daughter passed away 3 years ago, she faced much pressure.
Conflicts are unavoidable. She said that my principles are different from theirs.
In the beginning, there were conflicts as they tried to live together. The elder sister Li Chun said that in the past, she wasn't mature enough.
I asked for things. I also talked loudly with her over trivial matters. In addition, I vented my frustration at my family.
The grandmother is very strict with the two sisters. Not only does she demand top academic performance, she also makes them share household chores.
They have to do the dishes, get the laundry, tidy up the living room and their own rooms.
The grandmother, who's usually strict, smiles as the younger sister is being affectionate. The two sisters are grateful to her grandmother for caring for them.
Things have been going well for the past year or two. At least I have companions at night. They are well behaved. Everything is getting better.
Li Chun plays Chinese flute very well. However, sometimes when practices became too difficult, she told her grandmother she wanted to give up. Fortunately, her grandmother kept encouraging her. The two sisters said they will study hard and not disappoint their grandmother.
A 67-year-old Japanese man traveled to Taiwan 7 years ago. However, after arriving, he was soon left with no money and wandered the streets. Tzu Chi volunteers came to his aid and offered him medical assistance. Touched by this love, he recently contributed all of his savings to the Tzu Chi Japan chapter.
Mr. Yi Chanman traveled to Taiwan from Japan 7 years ago. However, he was sent to National Immigration Agency service station after he became penniless and homeless. While he was ill, Tzu Chi volunteer Hong Qifeng, who is also a doctor, provided free medical assistance until he recovered.
He asked me through a translator how much was the medical expenses for the past 4 months, and I told him that it was the free clinic provided by Tzu Chi, so don't worry about it.
Dr. Hong also helped him to raise travel expenses to return to Japan and gave him Jingsi aphorisms as a parting gift. After he was home, Yi Chanman wrote to Dr. Hong in Chinese to express his gratitude. Recently, he contacted Tzu Chi Japan chapter, hoping to donate all of his savings.
He has started to donate to the Japan chapter recently, but the other day he offered to give all of his savings because he's not sure how much longer he will live. I believe this is out of his full trust in Tzu Chi that he's willing to donate all that he has to us.
When Dr. Hong heard of the news in Taiwan, he was deeply touched by Yi Chanman's selfless spirit to donate his savings for other less fortunate people.
He has always remembered the love of Taiwan Tzu Chi volunteers. Hence, he has tried to reciprocate the kindness after he returned to Japan.
Ichaman's story reminds everyone how Tzu Chi volunteers have long been caring for people in immigration shelters.
When they return to their country, the love and kindness they receive from Tzu Chi remain a positive impact on them. Moreover, they will always keep a good impression about Taiwan.
By helping foreigners in need, volunteers have spread the seed of great love and goodness to everywhere in the world.
A 72-year-old volunteer takes time once a week to work at the recycling station. She always prepares cold beverages and drives volunteers around. On top of all these kind acts, she also makes quilts from recycled fibers and donates all the proceeds to Tzu Chi.
Chu Chen-Sing is a housewife who is over 70 years old. She has been doing fundraising for Tzu Chi with her special talent, which is sewing quilts.
That time, Tzu Chi was hosting a fundraiser, and everyone needs to be in charge of an item. I made vegetarian duck the first 2 years, but then I figured that I have so many recycled fabrics on hand. Why not reuse them and turn them into quilts?
Chu Qing-Xing started to join all kinds of Tzu Chi activities since 18 years ago when her friend invited her. She always prepared iced beverage and desserts for volunteers at the recycling station.
Recycling volunteers all got very thirsty after finishing their jobs, so water is essential in the heat of summer.
She also takes on the job driving everyone to the recycling station.
Sister Qing-Xing always drives me here and then takes me back home. It's better to come here to help instead of staying home and watch TV.
The recycling station makes her more energetic and keeps her mind on.
It's a blessing to be able to work and make myself useful. Just like what Dharma Master Zhen Yan teaches, we should keep on working until our last breath.
The Center for Disease Control announced recently that there are 2 additional cases of local dengue fever. A female in her 20s in the Nehu district of Taipei City and a male in his 60s in the Xinzhuang district in New Taipei City. Since July of this year, there have been 12 cases of local dengue fever in Taiwan. Now with the use of fast screening reagents, the diagnosing of dengue fever has significantly sped up. The medical examiner collects the serum samples and then drops it in the dengue fever fast screening reagent. After 15 minutes, a line appeared on the test strip, indicating that the result was negative. The dengue virus is now initially excluded, but it still needs to be sent to the Center for Disease Control for double confirmation. New Taipei City clinicians have observed that the number of screenings has significantly increased recently, even with some patients showing atypical symptoms.
At the moment, most of the patients in this epidemic aren't showing many symptoms in the beginning stages. Many patients have bouts of diarrhea and spiking of fever. It's not the usual symptoms of developing rashes.
Recently, the Center for Disease Control has announced that there has been a confirmed dengue fever case in Jian'ai Borough, Xinzhuang District. The 60-year-old male, during the virus incubation period, often planted vegetables in the high-risk area of Chongling. The virus is the second type. It has been linked to the Xinzhuang District area outbreaks. Recently, 3 cases have all been diagnosed by local ENT clinics by using the rapid diagnosis reagent screenings. Furthermore, a mobile phone notification group has been set up to prevent the outbreak from spreading further.
For example, if the tonsils are inflamed, we can quickly exclude these patients from the list. However, for patients with an unexplained fever, we must do a quick screening for the possibility of dengue fever.
In Nehu district of Taipei City, a female in her 20s has also been reported with type 1 dengue virus. Due to the confirmation of migration of the viral strand from Cambodia, the district has been excluded as an infection area. She's currently hospitalized. The Epidemic Prevention Unit is also worried that the community has asymptomatic but infectious patients.
Taipei City has the largest international traveling flow in the country, so we cannot be 100% sure that everyone coming back from being abroad didn't carry the virus with them. All we can say is that they are not showing any symptoms since they have not been properly screened yet.
Experts stress that chemical spraying is only an aid. The real solution is for everyone to implement the total elimination of disease-breeding sources in order to eradicate dengue fever. About 150 Tzu Chi volunteers and local volunteers spread into 36 teams to visit 400 impoverished households in Guangning, China. This was the preparation before the winter aid distribution.
兩邊痛啊！
又揼鳩你喺度出頭又
膝蓋哦。因為廣寧這個地區，因為它地屬比較偏移。
Guangning is a mountainous area, so most of the young people went out to work. It's mostly the ill and elderly that are left behind. There are many factors relating to their impoverished situation, some due to illness and some due to hardships in life.
有些是因為病苦，有些是因為勞苦，當然也有一些是這個求不得。
This solitary senior suffered from mental challenges, and her house has been messy and out of touch for a long time. Another care recipient who is unable to speak and unemployed plants an orchard to make a living. Volunteers reflected on their own lives seeing these people in need of assistance.
I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, and money has changed my perception in life. All I cared about is money, but Tzu Chi's humanistic culture has reminded me of how we should care about others through our actions, not just physically, but giving them hope and mental care as well.
我们需要有5、6次到每一个村委去。
We need at least 5 to 6 times to visit every village before the winter aid distribution to collect information and build communications. We need to let them understand the problems we encountered in the process. However, there is joy after solving the difficulties.
解决了以后呢，你真的是由心里就发出一种欢喜。
Tzu Chi volunteers have experienced others' hardships and learned to be compassionate. That is the essential meaning of receiving blessings from serving others.
The Philippines team held a 2-day free eye clinic at the Ormoc District Hospital. They successfully operated on 179 local patients who mostly were suffering from cataracts. Due to living in a poverty-stricken area, minor eye conditions like this will often develop into serious cases due to a lack of medical intervention. That is why the free eye clinic was such a crucial need for these residents. Whew, what is that a relief? In order to reduce the interference to the residents, the volunteers chose to move the medical equipment into the Ormoc District Hospital in the middle of the night. This was in preparation for the next day's free eye clinic. Things didn't go according to plan when the equipment suddenly stopped working. So volunteers quickly contacted a manufacturer and transferred a new one to assemble on site. It was immediately sent into the operation room.
Thank you to all the people who helped us.
Multiple operating tables in the same space, but separate operations. This is how to make the best out of a hardship situation.
The patients who came today were all very serious cases. This is mainly due to the lack of professional eye treatments here, such as cases of what commonly known as surface eye, where there is a growth of a pink, fleshy tissue over your pupil. Here, it would deteriorate over time to the point of almost covering the entire eyeball. In contrast, over in Manila, there are almost no such cases.
It's very rewarding, and
It is a blessing to have the ability to help those who are in need. When I go back home, I will share with others my experiences and the joy of being part of a free clinic.
For patients who have just completed cataract surgery, local volunteers accompanied them one by one back to their homes.
This is a huge thing that Tzu Chi has done for Ormoc that helps so many people to be able to see again. I believe having the ability to see is one of the most important senses for a human being.
Those who are able can help those who are suffering. It's possible to help them see the light and what life has to offer once again. Environmental protection includes the concept of recycling building materials. Tainan City established the first building materials bank to recycle materials from demolished buildings. Since opening in July 2017, a great deal of material has been accumulated, allowing many to save money to repair old houses.
所以你看，基本上要上楼就要2到10。先从楼上先看吧。
Tainan City Recycled Buildings Materials Center is located in the former sugar factory, which was handed over by the Cultural Bureau of National Chengkong University. As we go upstairs and open these shipping containers, we witness a number of memories.
Most of the stuff in this warehouse are pieces of local temples.
The wood stained through years of use has been removed from the temple and now lies quietly in the warehouse.
For example, there's a lot we can study about repairing historical buildings, as these materials are suitable for study. Actually, we joke that these materials are our teacher.
However, the main business of this recycled building materials center is that of transplanting material to old houses. When another old house is to be demolished, the center visits the location and takes usable material that can be used in other buildings which have applied to receive such materials.
In fact, this concept of a center for recycled building materials was discovered by me and my husband when we were in Japan. They have this concept as their central concept is reuse and recycling.
Since the opening of the center in July 2017, more than 10,000 pieces of secondhand building materials have been collected. First, an individual needs to be willing to make a donation, and then staff go to evaluate the materials, confirming the donation and delivery time. After the materials arrive, nails have to be pulled and disassembly takes place with later cleaning. Finally, it is inputted into the computer and data is recorded. All this work is done by just 2 employees. One of the employees, Ho Chengyu, is dealing with these black roof tiles, which he needs to handle one by one.
After grabbing a tile, I will tap it to listen to the sound. If it rings like the chime of a wooden clock, then it is okay. For example, this tile has a crack in the corner, and rain will seep in here as it cannot be used and needs to be discarded.
From the texture of each tile, you can know the manufacturer and the year it was manufactured. When recycling these building materials, many high-end goods are uncovered. The wood we have seen comes from historical monument Fengyi Academy. After 100 years, the materials can be used again to build a house.
The foundation of Fengyi Academy was inserted under the water, and then the whole piece is still intact. You can see that it's still good and hard, even though it is 300 years old.
In the private sector, old building materials are not cheap to buy. Many people buy old houses and tear them down to collect the building materials. As long as you know the material, a pile of old doors can be worth a lot of money. However, the original intention of this recycled materials center is to actually continue the life of these old buildings.
I think there's still a concept among some people who demolish buildings to take this process seriously and record the process with the intention of recycling these materials.
Whether it is for personal nostalgia or because of urban planning issues, this recycled building materials center is fulfilling its mission, extending the life of these valuable items as well as old houses in the community.
A group of foreign students came to Taiwan to participate in a volunteer camp at the Kaohsiung Hall. They learned how to make DIY items out of PET bottles and celebrated the Taiwanese Father's Day at the same time. Check out these creative, eco-friendly art projects. Thank you and see you next time.